Welcome back to our international viewers, and thank you for joining us again for our daily English news edition. I'm Daniel Cook, your host, Monday through Saturday at 6 p.m. The American Chamber of Commerce has responded to the strengthening of penalties for informality in business, warning that the punishments may be fatal to some businesses if not accompanied by mitigating policies. In a media statement, the American Chamber of Commerce highlights that instead of fixing the problems in small businesses, the fines are sending them into bankruptcy. The statement reads, "We believe that this action plan should have been consulted first with the business owners and should have had their support. Our concern is that these penalties are punishing businesses instead of helping to formalize the economy. The penalties are not attempting to correct the behavior of the businesses, and their effects can lead instead to bankruptcy. The severity of the fines must be proportionate to the level of business. In every world country, the fines are set as a percentage of the profit or total taxes paid. A business with a profit of 8 million lek cannot be fined 10 million lek because it will go bankrupt." The American Chamber of Commerce did express praise for the government's initiative to fight informality, but said that this reform should be very well thought through because easing the fiscal policy is necessary for bringing the business sector back to formality. The EU Ambassador Rama Vlahutin made it very clear today that the justice reform is non-negotiable and a condition for Albania's EU membership. Ambassador Vlahutin reminded the political class that the national interest must be set above political elements. She said that the reform must address several very real problems. "You know that we have 5 important priorities for EU integration," she said, "and 3 of them are related to the rule of law. They are the justice reform, the fight against organized crime, and the fight against corruption. These are key reforms for the country. If a reform is well executed and fixes the problems of a system that is clearly not functioning well, this would be very important for Albania's progress. This is fundamental reform, a non-negotiable reform that must be done," said Vlahutin. She also made this clear statement for the Albanian political class. "When we speak about the parties, we, the internationals, try to explain that politics are an element, but there are also national interests that must be put above every party agenda. EU integration is the most important of these national interests." Vlahutin announced that the progress report for Albania will include a review of the political developments in the country. The Albanian government is aware of the non-negotiable role of the justice reform in opening the negotiations with the European Union. The Minister of Integration, Klajda Gjosha, made an appeal today to the political class to cooperate and find consensus on this issue. Gjosha declared that she does not know the content of the progress report that is coming on October 21st, but she is certain that it does not contain a recommendation for the opening of negotiations. Earlier, Prime Minister Rama said that the justice reform would be finalized by November, but as the autumn approaches, the optimistic attitudes about the justice reform are fading. Prime Minister Rama also said that he would request the opening of negotiations after the reform was finalized. Albania has prepared a contingency plan to host the immigrants that are coming from the countries in conflict. This was announced by the Foreign Minister Ditmir Bushati during a special ministerial meeting dedicated to the EU refugee crisis, which was held today in Luxembourg for the foreign and internal ministers of the EU and the Balkans. The Albanian foreign minister had this to say: "In the context of collective efforts to respond to the refugee crisis, Albania has prepared a contingency plan assessing our existing capacities and needs if we are affected by this phenomenon." Mr. Bushati emphasized the need to jointly address the crisis that is being created by the flow of refugees seeking to reach the EU via the Western Balkans. He went on, "This is a humanitarian crisis that carries serious security risks, as well as a financial crisis for the countries being affected by the waves of refugees. This combination of problems is a challenge for the response capabilities of the Western Balkans as transit countries, but despite this, the countries of the region have remained faithful to the European values during this crisis," said Minister Bushati. If the EU does decide to send refugees to Albania, they are expected to be placed in Gjirokastra, at the former military base and the former aviation field. Today, the Assembly Speaker, Ilir Meta, received the Bavarian Minister of State for European Issues and Regional Relations, Bate Merk. Mr. Meta gave his assurance that Albania is willing to take responsibility, along with Germany and its European allies, for receiving the asylum seekers coming from the countries in conflict. The issue of asylum seekers was the focus of the meeting between the two officials, who highlighted once again that Albania is a safe country of origin and that Albanians cannot seek asylum in the EU. Meta and Merk underlined that more efforts must be made to solidify the initiative for legal employment in Germany, and the head of the Assembly declared that focusing on economic development and increasing investments will lead to the reduction of this problem. Mr. Meta and the German official discussed the opportunity for exchanging expertise in vocational education as a priority for the Albanian youth. It seems that yesterday was not a lucky day for the Albanian national football team. It was a dramatic finish for the Albanians with 2 goals scored after the 90th minute mark, making the difference for the Serbian football team. When the match looked like it would end in a draw, Serbia scored in overtime. But all is not lost for the Albanian team, which still has a chance to qualify for next year's finals. Albania's qualification for the 2016 European Championship depends on the match with Armenia on Sunday. The Albanian team must get a win in order to qualify. Last night was not the first time that Albania has lost in the extra time. The same thing happened in the game against Portugal. The coach of the Albania team has expressed his disappointment, and the captain of the team, Lorik Cana, took responsibility for the loss. Prime Minister Rama spoke today about the football match last night in Elbasan. He praised the dignified behavior of the fans and expressed esteem for the Albanian national team and its coach. He said, "We were not able to hold on until the end of the match and get the 3 points that would take us to the finals, but we were able to maintain good sportsmanship in a very tense condition." Mr. Rama was present at the game last night to support the national team, but also to be an example of the attitude of the Albanians, which was different from that of the Serbs a year ago in Belgrade. He expressed optimism that Albania would be part of the European Championship of football. He praised the hard game that the Albanian footballers played and the hard work of their coach. He went on, "My gratitude goes out to the red and black fans who for 94 minutes behaved in a dignified and European manner. I am grateful to the police officers who handled everything with professionalism, to the footballers, and to the coach, who is the most successful coach that the Albanian team has ever had. Let us continue to support the players and the coach because we still have the chance to compete in the European Championship, a beautiful dream that is being made possible by the footballers and the coach," said Prime Minister Rama. The Minister of Transportation, Edmond Hajanasto, has revealed the details about 3 important road construction projects. During an inspection of the work on the new ring road in the capital, Minister Hajanasto said that there are problems with expropriations, but that the construction will be finished by next October. He said, "There are problems with expropriations and the quality of the projects, which we are trying to solve. The deadline for the new ring road has been postponed until next October because of these problems." The minister clarified that the company that is funding the construction of the Arbri Road has not withdrawn, but there have been some changes to the cost of the project. Regarding the Tirana-Elbasan Road, he reiterated that the company must meet the conditions that were set in the contract. As for the national road, Minister Hajanasto declared that a winning company will be selected by October 15th. Thank you so much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Please join us again tomorrow at the same time for more translated news in English right here on Aura News. Thanks. Have a great night.